Hello everyone, welcome back to Unraveling Politics, a weekly political analysis show. We are witnessing what some have called the Great MAGA Civil War. Last week, Elon Musk came out against the tax-cutting bill, which, who would have guessed? He called it a disgusting abomination that will increase our federal deficit, and some GOP senators agreed, in fact, which is enough to sink the bill. As I have said, this totally makes a lot of sense, and our national debt is 128% of our GDP, and we run a deficit equal to 6% of GDP. We did that last year, and this bill would push that up to 7 or 8%. And if you're confused, let me break it down for you. GDP is the size of the economy. Think that as the house. And not only do we have no down payment on the house now, but we are underwater, since debt is 128% of GDP. And obviously, when you are upside down, the only choice is to start making lifestyle cuts. And this bill would do the opposite, instead adding to it. Some in my family, I heard yesterday, I think this is all for show, a play between them, Elon and Trump. This is possible, but unlikely, and I will explain why. So once again, the biggest things we're going to talk about in this episode are the tax cuts. We have some updates on the bill as it moves through the Senate. No pen has hit the paper yet, but as I said last week, there will definitely be revisions to the House bill because it is unpopular in the Senate. This is likely to divide the Republican Party even more, and I'm not sure if President Trump will take any cues from Elon since he has left the administration. And as I have covered, this bill will add an additional $300 to $400 billion per year. The number seems to change depending on who you talk to. I've seen different numbers floated from 310 to 380, and the national debt, this will go on top of the 2.1 trillion we add each year. And if I was in the administration, I would be concerned that this is a dam-breaking moment where now that a powerful man like Elon has come out against the bill, other Republicans will feel safer about doing it. And this is if this is all for show, then this is why it's very risky, because now that somebody has come out against the bill, somebody big and powerful like Elon, they can now feel safer saying, okay, well, if he can do it, then we can do it too. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, in the bill that she supported, has now come out against it, learning that there is a provision preventing states from regulation of artificial intelligence for 10 years. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, came out against a provision that would allow the president to unilaterally raise taxes on people and companies from countries that the U.S. deems discriminatory. This is obviously in the bill's left vague. That allows the president to have wide discretion with this provision. And it's interesting that in the case of Marjorie Taylor Greene, she finally read the bill that she supported. And I hope I finally given you enough reasons over the last few months to oppose this bill. Still, though, John Thune and Speaker Johnson disagree with Elon. Of course, that was Speaker Johnson's bill. It's his baby. And they still want the bill to be passed by the 4th of July. And Congress leaves town on June 27th, so they just have under 3 weeks left. Those people, Speaker Johnson and John Thune, said that Elon Musk was wrong and that they had a mandate from the American people. It's interesting how neither of them said this would not increase the deficit. And if they did, they would be lying, because it does. So they just dismissed Elon Musk's concerns. So for all the people out there who freaked out about Elon's control of the government, this is a big test of that. Sure, Elon had sway in the administration, but will he have sway among elected congressmen and women? I don't think so. That remains to be seen, of course. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said that President Trump already knew the position Elon had on the bill, and that's not going to change the president's mind. That makes sense, and I didn't expect it to. When asked whether their relationship was over, the president said, "I assume so, yeah." So, to anyone else out there, including the entire Democratic Party, who panicked that Elon was going to take over the country, you can now rest soundly asleep. Elon is not the power behind the throne, and it seems like he never has been. However, according to the New York Times, Doge has now become a department inside the Department of Interior. The irony is that they are now government employees that they hated so much. And it seems to me that Doge is not done or gone yet. They claim to have cut about $180 billion, which is a far cry from the $2 to $1 trillion he promised, $2 and then $1 trillion. They did have some victories at the U.S. Supreme Court, which now allows the Department of Government Efficiency into Social Security data, and DOJ also does not have to turn over internal records for public watchdogs to monitor their activities. And I'm not so sure how I feel about this. I'll have to look into it a bit more. As for the tax cuts, Senate Republicans have their eyes on the no tax on tips policy. That might get cut. There's also the no tax on Social Security. Well, it's not quite that, but that's what it used to be. And overtime, and the no tax on overtime, that also might get cut as an attempt to reduce the cost of the bill. Tom Tillis, a North Carolina Republican who is up for re-election next year, suggested that these are Democrat priorities and should be left out of the bill. No, Tom, these are things that your party endorsed in your 2024 platform. And I'm thinking regardless, that is going to be the first thing to go. But at the same time, other senators want to increase the price tag. Josh Hawley and Susan Collins are both concerned about Medicaid cuts, and Tom Tillis is concerned about energy tax cuts affecting his state. And this, my friends, is one of the big problems of these big bills. Since they are so massive, and every senator and representative wants to stick something in there for their district or their state, so they can get their voters, they can go back to their voters in 2 or 6 years and say, oh, hey, look what we did here. It happens all the time. It's not unusual. But the problem is it usually increases the cost of the project. It doesn't usually. It always does. And one final note I want to make here. Elon lied to Americans during the campaign. If you listen to this show, I have countered these lies. He told Americans that Trump was just cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, and that would be enough to balance the books, when it wasn't. He lied, and now the narrative is stuck. Elon is a smart man, so I don't think he was stupid. I think he was lying. Americans' tax burden is by far one of the lowest in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development average, the OECD. We just need to raise taxes. It's simple as that. And since it has been so long since we've balanced the books, and the Americans have been told for 2 decades now that balancing the books requires no pain, and the electorate doesn't seem to care about the deficit, and they will not tolerate the necessary tax rises. And that is the problem we are in. Hopefully I didn't bum you out. Anyway, that's enough of that. What else is going on? The economy, speaking of the economy, posted strong job numbers this past week. They added 139,000 jobs in the month of May, and the unemployment rate remained steady at 4.2%. 126,000 was expected by economists. Apparently, though, in a bad sign, March and April's job numbers were revised down 95,000 jobs. This is not uncommon. It happens a lot, but it shows that that we get these good numbers, but then they go back and it shows that it wasn't actually so good. The Bureau of Labor Statistics will go back and revise these numbers. From May, they always do, and we'll get a more accurate information on the labor market. From what I understand, that economists have said, this will not push the Federal Reserve to lower rates, and due to the tariff and economic uncertainty. The job report is good, but considering the revisions in March and April, my view of the economy has not changed. And this coming week, we will get the inflation report, and that will be out on June 11th at 8:30 a.m. for the month of May. If the economy continues to grow, there will be more space for tax cuts, even if they are unfunded, because the economy is getting bigger. And when that means that debt to GDP ratio is going down, even if the actual debt isn't going down. So if we get more recession indicators in the month of June and July, this bill will probably be dead, and Republicans will need to try again in the autumn. If the economy looks to be doing better, then the bill might squeeze through Congress. It's difficult to know. In other news, President Trump has signed a travel ban on Thursday. I'm surprised this kind of hit the news and then it almost immediately disappeared. And this is not the first time he has done something like this. Upon entering office in 2017, he banned travel from several Muslim-majority nations due to terror threats, rightfully so in my opinion. And the countries in this travel ban were selected were Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. He's also limiting the entry of people from Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. This only applies to nationals from that country, not U.S. citizens or citizens of other countries traveling from that country. So if somebody was from France and they went to Afghanistan, they would still be able to come to the U.S., I assume. if they have the right paperwork. It would only block people from Afghanistan from coming to the U.S. And so mission work in Africa and Asia should be unaffected as long as they can prove that they are not a national from any of the affected countries. And this is something that we probably should have done like decades ago. And in the case of Afghanistan, we should have done like 4 years ago when the country collapsed. But of course, the Obama administration, as Joe Biden once called it, was weak and ineffective. They didn't do it. And what I think is interesting is that Syria is not on the list. And according to the White House, there's a fact sheet that was released, or a press release, and that I'll have it in the description, and it states, many of these countries have have taken advantage of the United States in their exploitation of our visa system and their historic failure to accept back their removable nationals. So it appears that this is about deportations. It will be much easier for us to deport illegal immigrants here if their home countries will take them back. So this is likely a move to force these countries to take the nationals back. I imagine, just like the tariffs, this will be used as a point of leverage to try to make a deal. And this is something, as I said earlier, I totally support. America is not an international homeless camp. We can't have homeless people or refugees from every walk of life showing up at our doorstep. We just cannot do that. We should stay in our country, you should stay in your country, and that's how it should be. And if we do bring anybody in here, it should be people who are highly vetted, people who actually want to live here, who want to work, and sometimes you don't see that. And it's nice that we are finally getting back to that. Anyway, that is all I have for you this episode. I noticed the shorter episodes do a little bit better than the longer ones, and I'm sorry if you do like the longer ones. I've spent much of this week, and I'm going to spend next week and the week after working on a new personal project that has taken a lot of my time and energy. And I'm still going to be posting weekly episodes this summer. However, they might be a bit shorter than usual because of that. And also, there's usually less political activity in the summer anyway. And as a college student, I'm really hoping this project here will be my magnum opus, and I will reveal it to you in due time. My goal is to have it done by August, and I will let you know in the coming weeks as I get closer and closer. That being said, thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking with you again next week. Bye-bye.